Okay, let's read the excerpt from Research Riddle Resolved. So let's make sure to read it with a purpose. Come away with the information we generally need, the main idea, the topic, and why we care. We want to get an idea of who's telling the story, what's their point of view. And let's try and piece together the progression of ideas from paragraph to paragraph. Notice this one is very small, 1 or 2 sentence paragraphs. So a few paragraphs will probably make up the idea of a typical paragraph. In fact, this one also has the bold sections like evolution and fusion, same and different. These are probably indicating something about the main idea of those sections of text, which might make up the equivalent of a paragraph. I don't know yet. They do give us some progression of ideas, something you should come away with on your own, even when they're not there. Last but not least, there is a short, italicized preamble or description to the passage. Always read it. It is excellent background information, give you useful main idea information. No matter what, always read that. Okay, so with that, let's jump into the research riddle resolved. For centuries, scientists were confused by an animal that seemed to look and act like a combination of a bird, a reptile, and a mammal. It has a bill like a duck and lays eggs, but produces milk for its young. It lives in a burrow, has fur, and can make venom. We now know that this animal is called a duck-billed platypus. A platypus is a monotreme, a type of egg-laying mammal. Okay, so we know this passage is about the platypus, a unique animal that has a lot of sort of different potential behaviors here. Let's read the start. Hundreds of years after the first sightings of the platypus, the animal still captures our imagination anew and irresistibly attracts the attention of science writers everywhere. The May 2008 Nature report detailing the DNA of the duck-billed platypus invited colorful tales from just about every outlet and media. But cuteness and weirdness aside, the platypus research results are a goldmine for medical researchers. The findings cement what may seem totally obvious, but turned out to be a bit of a scientific surprise. Platypus DNA is a patchwork of genes from reptiles, birds, and mammals. So it has an interesting DNA set. So what did we learn at the beginning? Platypus is kind of weird. It's got all these different weird traits. So it's kind of funny in a sense. But cuteness and weirdness aside, transitioning into paragraph 2, it's also important to science. Its DNA is a patchwork of 3 different types of species or genre: reptiles, birds, and mammals. Okay, let's keep going. In other words, the platypus heritage is laid out in evolutionary DNA tapestry that marks the time hundreds of millions of years ago when reptiles and mammals branched off the evolutionary tree. So what? Question mark. The platypus is nothing like a human, so what can his DNA tell us about people and the diseases we get? This is a core question about the passage. I see we're building up to some kind of thesis claim. Plenty, says an international team of scientists. The platypus genome results are far more than confirmation of a scientific oddity. They provide a window into a time in history when mammals became unique, gaining the ability to bear live young, produce milk, and grow a warm, furry coat. Okay? That's important because, so they're telling us why this is significant. Modern-day genomes are still a big mystery, and researchers need much more information to be able to translate our genetic language into useful health knowledge. So we need to bridge a gap in our knowledge and genetic knowledge. One of the ways scientists can decipher, so one way, meaning from within our 3 billion DNA letters or nucleotides, is to compare human genes with those from animals to see what has been kept the same and what has evolved to be different. Okay? All right, so we see it's important to scientists in this section, evolution fusion. It's important to scientists because the platypus has mammal and non-mammal DNA, and it shows when we first broke out in mammals. And that could teach us a lot about our own genetics as mammals, where we can use it to useful health knowledge. Same and different. In an approach called comparative genomics, scientists compared the genome sequences of several species: humans, mouse, a wide variety of organisms, from single cell to elephants, and now the platypus. Okay? So what is comparative genomics? The goal of this research is to find regions of similarity and difference in order to better understand the structure and function of human genes. The goal is to find out and learn about human genes. Comparative genomics is directly related to evolution because all living things share a common ancestor. Okay? By using computer tools to examine genes that have been kept the same in many organisms over millions of years, researchers locate signals that control how genes work. This information may translate into ways to understand, treat, and prevent human diseases. So that's the why. Chicken or egg? Question mark. When researchers analyzed platypus DNA and compared it to that of chickens, snakes, and lizards, the findings traced the evolutionary path from birds and reptiles to mammals. They learned the platypus lost most of its genetic ability to produce egg yolk as compared to chicken genes. This suggests a departure from chickenness. But through evolutionary change, the platypus gained the ability to make milk that is rich in nutrients. So it does that just like we do. A male platypus can, like its ancestral snake and lizard, produce venom. So the platypus ejects this venom through special glands. Okay. The DNA pieces separately to create the venom genes in reptile and monotremes like the platypus. Okay. So what do we found? We found they're part chicken, bird, they're part mammal like us, and they're part snake or lizard. We're seeing more detailed examples of that. So what exactly is it? The chicken, the egg? The scientific value of pinning genetics to physiological function like milk production is high. Such investigations may help medical researchers understand health issues related to lactation. Although lactation is an ancient reproductive trait, mammals, including the platypus, are unique in their ability to produce milk that is extraordinarily nutritious. More generally, though, studying how nature cuts and pastes gene modules gives scientists an inside scoop on how genetic changes relate to health and disease risk. One thing is clear: the stunning blend of reptile, bird, mammal puts the platypus in a class of its own and gives researchers much more information about how mammals like us came about. Genetic sleuthing of platypuses, chimps, fish, sunflowers, you name it, continues to teach scientists how millions of years of evolution progressed. This provides vital information to understanding the role of genes in health and disease of mammals, like us and our pets, and can also help preserve our rich and diverse planet. Okay? So we're repeating the idea that most of this research is to help humans and identify human diseases and possibly cure them. Okay, so let's just step back. What is this about? It's about the platypus. He's not only cute, but he's really important scientifically. And the DNA tapestry of the platypus includes 3 types of animals: lizards, birds, and mammals. That's part of why it's so weird looking. And we can use that alongside with comparative genomics, where we indicate, compared to other animals, how our genes are alike and different, and by using computer tools, we better understand, hopefully, human diseases. Now, we know a little bit more in the passage of details of how it's chicken-like, how it's mammal-like, how it's snake and lizard-like. The value of knowing all this from the DNA, though, again, it reiterates, is to help researchers understand health issues. So the goal here is human health. Okay. More generally, it gives us a scoop on genetic changes how they relate to health and disease. Again, focus on health and disease. Okay. So then we begin to sum up 1718. We're basically restate that it's a blend of these 3 types of animals, and that the goal here is to learn more about health and disease for humans. Okay. So I think this is written by a third person. It's an informative essay. I'd say it's somewhat positive, well, quite positive actually, in favor of the platypus and what it can offer, and the fact that they're cute. Okay, we're ready to answer the questions.